Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is a question that came in on Patreon, but this type of information I think needs to be out over here on YouTube. But it comes from Taylor Wimberly. He said, thoughts on the Solo T tourniquet, specifically for use on young ones with small limbs. All right, so we're going to talk about tourniquets for kids, which will be the title for this video. Tourniquets for kids, aka pediatric tourniquets. So what's the Solo T tourniquet? It's not a tourniquet. It's like a roll of black stretch wrap, or like saran wrap, but much thicker. Kind of like the battle bandage. That's basically that with a big piece of gauze on it, and they work great for applying pressure. However, can they pinch off a bleeding vessel, especially in the small physiology of a child? Absolutely. But let's be careful what we call tourniquets, because the Committee on TCCC is the committee that recommends tourniquets, and a roll of stretch wrap is not a tourniquet. However, it can be used to apply enough pressure to pinch off a bleeding vessel against the bone structure. Cool. So what do I know about the Solo T multi-use wrap? Nothing. I've actually never played with that before, but I've used the battle wrap, and the battle wrap rocks. We had a bunch at Refuge, but they sold out like that fast because they were awesome. Heath and I were actually playing with some on camera, and they were gone instantly the moment we posted them. And I don't know if you know this, there's global conflict going on right now. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of this stuff. But let's talk about some stuff that I do know about. So kids have small limbs, right? The Gen 7 cat tourniquet from North American Rescue, and all this stuff's available from Refuge, refugemedical.com. Promo code is BearNation for free shipping if you want it. This will work, according to North American Rescue, on limbs down to 1.5 inches in diameter. And this is your standard combat application tourniquet, right? Pull it nice and tight, turn the windlass, and you turn the windlass in training, one turn past bad words. In real life, until the bleeding stops. That goes in there, tail goes through there, time tab, boom, tourniquet's on. Now, this will work on smaller limbs down to 1.5 inches in diameter, says North American Rescue. But some kids are just small, tiny, tiny little kids. And this may not be the best product for that application. And so there's myriad pediatric tourniquets or tourniquet-like devices on the market. And so you can use a Cat Gen 7 on a limb down to 1.5 inches in diameter, which is small. That's a small limb. What else do we have? This, by the way, is my preferred tourniquet for putting in a kit, unless it's like I carry in my ankle kit, I carry a Gen 5 soft T right here for myself for self-aid, but for buddy aid, the cat tourniquet is like unmatched. So you can use this on kids. Another product we got, this is basically a triangle bandage that is what do they call this? The warriorkidmedic.com. warriorkidmedic.com. And it shows all the things on here that a triangle bandage can be used for. You can make an improvised tourniquet with it, a loop hitch tourniquet. You can wrap your hands and feet with it, use it as a sling or a splint. You can use it as a do-rag, make char cloth with it, pre-filter water. It's a piece of cloth, which is cool. In this boo-boo kit right here, we have a SWAT tourniquet. And the SWAT tourniquet is your stretch wrap and tuck tourniquet. And this is basically an elastic yoga band is what this is. And they're also on the market. TACMed produces them, what's called the S-Mark bandage. which I have one in my ankle kit, so I will pull that out. And it's like a yoga band, a stretchy yoga band, like a big rubber band, and we can use the S-mark bandage to apply pressure. There's the S-mark, and this is just a stretchy piece of rubber. They smell good, man. I don't know, they smell like creamsicles. I don't know what's up with that, but and this just stretches. Okay, so you can use this to pinch off the flow of blood, like so. I don't like this for self-aid. This is not a primary use tourniquet for self-aid, but this will work. The diameter of the limb doesn't matter how small the limb is with this, because we're just wrapping around the circumference. And that will all the way pinch the bleeding vessel against the bone structure, which is how tourniquets work. So I can use it for that. I can also use it to make a pressure bandage if I have a wound, a laceration. I can lay this over like so, and then start wrapping and then pulling tight as I go, applying pressure. You can get significant pressure with that. I mean, you can see just the compression around my wrist area right there, how it's sucking the flesh nice and tight. So you can make pressure bandages out of the S-mark bandage as well. And so you can use it as a pediatric tourniquet for pressure bandages. I can use this in conjunction with sticks or a SAM splint or rolled up newspaper to make, for splinting purposes. I can make cordage out of this. It's flammable, so I could start fires with it if I had to. It just has a lot of uses, the S-mark bandage. And so don't sleep on that for a pediatric tourniquet for small kids as well. And then the last thing I want to show you is called the Slishman device. And this comes from our friend Sam Slishman, who's a pediatric doctor. He has kids, and he's particularly concerned about critical bleeding in children because unfortunately we live in a world in today's day and age where that's a potential problem, whether that's violent extremism, motor vehicle accidents, school bus rollover. You know, a level 1 mass casualty incident is 5 or more casualties. I don't know how big your minivan is, but it's probably got 5 or more people in it. What about a school bus rollover? So I made this for the Weasel, who's my 7-year-old, and this is just a sleeve, a boogie sleeve from Refuge, made in America. And then in this little boogie sleeve, I put her a package of Band-Aids in there because kids always need Band-Aids. And this is for her backpack. Package of Band-Aids, a package of compressed gauze for wound packing, dressing wounds, wrapping wounds, whatever, just regular old compressed gauze. And then a Slishman device. And the Slishman device is, this thing's pretty cool. So the way this works is this is basically a pressure bandage, and it's got a loop on one end, okay? So I'm gonna put my limb through and just pull nice and tight. And because it stretches, kind of like an ACE bandage, it's already starting to apply some pressure there. Wrap back the other direction and just start pulling, wrapping it over on itself. And it's got intermittent hook and loop in here so that it will stick to itself. And I mean, you can see what that's doing to my forearm already, and it's already making the veins in the back of my hand stand up. And that's foolproof for children. And it works on any size limb, whether it's a gigantic limb, if you're a power lifter, you've eaten too much pizza lately, or it's a little tiny limb, you know, for one of our kiddos, arm or leg, this will work. And so that's a really cool product, and they're very reasonably priced. Um, so shout out to Sam Slishman for that. And again, Refuge Medical, we've got all this stuff. And so I made this little kit for my 7-year-old for her to throw in her backpack. God forbid she needs it. If she's in a wreck or there's an act of violence or whatever, she's got it. There's no sharps in it. It's just a stretchy thing, a piece of gauze, and some Band-Aids. So I'm not overly concerned about school administrators telling her she can't have it. And if they did, I'd go down there and give them a piece of my mind, which has happened before. So they know who I am now, and I'm good with it. And so Forrest, who's one of our guys at our HQ, Forrest came up with this. And this is the kiddo. And what the kiddo is, this is designed to throw in a backpack. So it's a shrink wrapped, vacuum sealed package. It's 49 bucks, dude. And it's got one of these Slishman pressure wraps in it right here on the back. It's got a pair of Halo chest seals for punctures to the pleural space. It's got compressed gauze. It's got a mini compression bandage 4-inch, a survival blanket, flak duct tape, and a pair of gloves. And so this is a pediatric blowout kit. And so you could put this in your kid's backpack. You can put it in your purse. I mean, there's my hand. It's not very big. You could throw this in your backpack if you're going out hiking or fishing or camping with the family or whatever. Because everything that's inside of here will work on adults too. The Slishman, I just showed you it on me, and I'm an adult-ish mostly. But it will also work on children. And if you're worried about like full family coverage, you get a kiddo and a cat, boom, you're in business. And that's like, cat's 30 bucks, kiddo's 50 bucks, that's 80 bucks. Chuck them in a pouch if you want, or put them in your purse or your backpack or whatever, and you're good to go. And so that's quite a capable juvenile blowout kit for 50 bucks. And to be perfectly clear, I hope they never get used in an act of violence, ever. But unfortunately, hope's not a method. And in today's day and age, I mean, just Uvalde, anyone? Yeah. So literally for my kid, going back to school, I've got Band-Aids, and I've got a Slishman device, and I've got a package of gauze that I'm throwing in her backpack. And I'm probably gonna, I know the guy that owns Refuge, so I'm gonna talk to him and see if I can get one of these kiddos for her backpack as well, because this Slishman is just great for a pediatric tourniquet. Now, bringing it back around, the Solo T multi-use wrap, I'm sure that it works great because it looks exactly like the battle wrap, the battle bandage wrap, and that stuff was awesome. So I'm sure it would work. I've just personally never used that, and that stuff's great because it's just compression, and all we want to do is compress the bleeding vessel against the bone structure. And with children, direct pressure works great. Like, the problem is you're now attached to the patient. So you're losing the use of one of your hands. And if you got to move, which you probably do, you're now stuck to them. But kids, they're little, direct pressure works really good on children. And so that stretch wrap is all it's doing, all any of these things are doing, from the cat tourniquet to the Warrior Medic Kid triangle bandage, to the S-Mark bandage, to the SWAT T, to the Slishman device, to the battle wrap, it's all pressure. We're just using different forms of pressure to pinch the bleeding vessel against the bone structure. So Taylor, that was a really good question, and I wanted to answer this for Gen Pop so that everybody was on the same page with this, because I don't want any of our kids bleeding, any of our kids getting injured, but I also want to make sure that we've all got what we need to be able to take care of them. I hope you all have a blessed day. Shalom.